Okay. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the January 12th, 2022 resolution voting session to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colleen, will you please call roll?
Ambrose?
Present.
Mr. Bloom?
Here.
Mrs. Cento?
Here.
Mr. Moad?
Here.
Mr. O'Neill?
Here.
Mr. Ross?
Here.
Mr. Zaritsky?
Here.
Ms. Bel Castro?
Here.
Go ahead, Pete.
Okay, sorry, I jumped the gun there before. We're taking, tonight's meeting is just going to look a little different. We're starting off with a resolution voting session for one item related to a bond issuance, where the board is actually going to vote on that due to a time-sensitive, some timelines. So that's actually going to be the first meeting that's going to last a few minutes. We would accept public comment on that agenda item, and then that meeting, the board will vote on that. We'll close that meeting and we'll move into our regular work session to go over the agenda as you're used to. The second thing, I just want to read off our comment policy. I also want to note that in response to a citizen concern, the board is going to amend its policy of requiring speakers to state their address on the record in front of the cameras. If you could please give Colleen your address to write down. It will not be made part of the record going forward, but just to verify your residence. So that's just in response to some concerns that were raised. So I'm going to read off our policy. The board recognizes the value to school governance of public comment on educational issues and the importance of involving members of the public in board meetings. The board also recognizes its responsibility for proper governance of the district and the need to conduct its business in an orderly and efficient manner. The district is asking that the following be adhered to. Each comment made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes without exception. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic without exception. All statements shall be directed to the president of the board. No participant may address or question the board members individually. Questions that do come from the audience may be addressed at the next meeting next week in order to give the appropriate person the time to research and potentially respond if necessary. Failure to follow the requirements outlined by the board may result in termination of the time for the participant to provide the statement if it's too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, or obscene. Request any individual to leave the meeting when that person does not observe reasonable decorum. Request the assistance of law enforcement to remove a disorderly person when his or her conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. Call a recess or adjourn to another time when lack of public decorum interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. It is the intent of the district to work with the school community on all school-related issues. However, the board has a right to and will enforce reasonable expectations to conduct a meeting in an orderly fashion. Refusal to comply will not be tolerated. Thank you, Madam President, and turn it back over to you.
All right. Public comments on the agenda item. Mr. McShane is sitting back there.
Any public comment? Okay.
All right. One, to approve resolution 2022-02, authorizing the occurring of non-electoral debt for the purpose of refunding prior debt, funding a capital project, and paying the cost of insurance by the insurance one or more series of general obligation bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $14 million, and that could be found on attachment A. Mr. Bloom makes the motion. Mr. Moad seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Moad, second. Mr. Zaritsky, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
All right, so that item's done. Mr. McShane, is there anything that we need to wrap up here while you're here or while John's here?
We're going to get signatures after the meeting, so at this point, it's going to allow us to start rapidly moving forward the lock-in rate, so thank you.
Placements, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Whether or not they qualify.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Uh, Nothing there, but do you have anything?
Nothing in technology right now, thank you.
Okay. Mr. King, we are back with you with athletics.
Number one, to approve the following conditioning programs to run January 17th, 2022 to March 6th, 2022 at a rate of $10 per hour up to 60 hours total. Participants are Shannon Sullivan, Bruce Herstein, Tim Casey, Bill King, and Mark Lyons. Number two, to approve the varsity cheerleading team to compete in Disney's Wide World of Sports in Florida, February 11th, 2022 to February 13th, 2022. Number three, to accept the resignation of Bradley Humble, boys varsity soccer coach, effective immediately. Number four, to accept the resignation of Tim Casey, girls tennis coach, effective January 3rd, 2022. Number five, to approve the Central Valley Middle School swim team to practice at Hopewell Pool this spring pending approval by the Hopewell Area School Board of Education.
Any questions, comments?
I have comments. So we're going to do the exit interviews for our fall sports coaches on Monday, January 17th, beginning at 1 p.m. and going until probably around 3 p.m., depending on how long they take. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll be interviewing 7 coaches at that time. I know, Mr. King, you got with Mr. Saccone on the date. Mr. Saccone will send an invite out, a reminder email to any members of the board who want to attend that. Specifically, we'll send something out to the athletic committee. We're going to do those. We're in the library. We'll do those in the library as well. And then obviously, the athletic committee is going to need to discuss the 2 open positions that are on the board as well. So that'll take place Monday the 17th.
Okay, thank you. Extracurricular, Mrs. DeSenza.
One, to approve the qualifying students to attend the FBLA State Leadership Conference in Hershey, Pennsylvania, from April the 10th, 2022 through April the 13th, 2022. And then there's a list of our current field trips. The destination, it's on a grid. The destination, the group, and the dates are listed.
Any questions? Okay. Ritzky, Building and Grounds.
Number one, to approve and confirm the following building usage requests pending final approval from the superintendent regarding review of the organization's health and safety plan, as well as liability waiver sign off. It's once again a chart with the building, the organization, the date, and the purpose. And then this is an FYI that the Building and Grounds Committee did meet along with Dr. Perry and Ms. Belcastro on January 6th, sorry.
All right.
And received information from the architect and the engineer about some capital projects, some improvements they're looking to do with some funding we're getting from refinancing at the high school and middle school. So we'll continue to get information and pass that along as we get it.
I also want to inform the public that the architect from Crabtree Rohrblatt Associates will be here at the meeting next Thursday and will provide an update to the community with regards to the Center Grant project and where we are as of this point.
Any? Okay. Mr. Bloom, Personnel.
Yeah, we'll be looking to approve the retirement of Kathy Faust, part-time gifted teacher, effective January 21st, 2022. Number two, to approve the resignation of Kimberly Weber, paraprofessional, effective January 1st, 2022. Number three, to approve the resignation of Julia Bender, cafeteria general worker, 4¼ hours, December 12th, 2021. And number four, to approve the Bailey Bungard as a paraprofessional at a rate of $13.50 an hour in accordance with the CVEA agreement, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances, effective January 21st, 2022. Anything else, Dr. Perry?
There will be an addition for the resignation of a cafeteria worker, will be added to the agenda for next month. Also, just to the public, we have openings here. We have some custodial positions that need to be filled. We have cafeteria worker positions that need to be filled. We're looking for paraprofessionals that need to be filled. So if you're looking for work, I mean, we've got work here. We just want good people to come here and work hard. So if you know of anybody out there, anybody's listening tonight and you're interested in a position, feel free to send a letter to my office and we'll see what we can do to get you interviewed.
And Mr. Ambrose, fine.
Number one, to approve the adoption of the preliminary general fund budget for the 2022-2023 school year, which includes revenues of $40,757,708 and expenditures of $39,748,000, my apology, 784. This represents a 2.77 tax increase. And if we look where that puts us, there are only two other schools in Beaver County below us in tax millage. That's Western Beaver and Southside. There's 9 schools that have a higher millage, starting with Blackhawk at 69 mills, ranging all the way up to Hopewell 80, Ambridge 83, and Beaver at 88. This is a preliminary budget, probably be tweaked between now and June when we pass the final budget.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. So we are going to go with public comments now. Again, if you let Mrs. know your address, but please come to the podium and at least state your name.
Public comment? Nope. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Secretary.
I really have none other than hope everybody had a wonderful holiday, an opportunity to refresh. We're back in. I want to remind the public we do have an in-service day on the 17th of January, so there'll be no school for the students that day, but the staff will be working. No, that's okay.
Okay, Mr. McCreary.
Just real quick, in the high school, we're finishing our semester. Here, next week is the last week of the semester. We'll have final exams Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Our turnaround day is Monday. We can do the next semester on the following Tuesday. We have our semi-dance this weekend. It's well attended. Half the high school attends the semi-dance. That'll be this weekend at the Fez, Saturday. We finished up our Keystone exam before the break, and we're looking forward to starting the second semester.
Mr. Vakokan, you have anything to add there? Okay. Ms. Hicks?
In December, our students took their MAPS benchmarks for English, reading, and math, and so our teachers have been analyzing that data to see the students' growth and then working on their flexible groupings for their skills periods in the morning. We held our Warrior Games before break, and our Brave Warriors and Inclusive Leadership Club helped to organize that, which is like our Winter Olympics. The students seemed to have a really good time. We held our middle school winter dance, and the proceeds were benefiting the CV food pantry. We did very well. It was actually the most money that students had ever raised for it. It was well over $2,000. And we have our plans for success conferences on January 24th to do some parent-teacher conferences with some of our students who are struggling to help them turn it around for the second semester.
Mrs. Kasanovich?
At Center Grange, we are also doing our benchmark assessments. We started this Monday for our winter benchmark assessments for reading and math in Dibbles and in NWEA MAPS. Dibbles will be next week. We'll be then turning around and analyzing that data to configure their intervention groups and see their growth. We're preparing for Jump Rope for Heart fundraiser, the Heart Association that Mrs. Our gym teacher does every year. And we're also preparing for an assembly for this week for the first graders for poison control.
Mrs. Parks?
Ms. Farragotti, the principal at Todd Lane, asked me to let everyone know the Todd Lane Winter Band and Choral Concert will be held tomorrow. And as far as my world goes, we're working on university trainers for our SWIMS program at the school, Center Grange and Todd Lane, to identify any students that are at risk for social or emotional concerns. We also are kicking off bocce teams. We have that's been established at the high school, and now we have both clubs running at the middle school and at Todd Lane. So that's something new that's starting in the spring that's going to continue again this year as well.
We're also, you've been working on the monitoring.
Oh, yes. I've been spending all of my time on this. I can't believe I forgot. We are going to be going through something called cyclical monitoring through the Bureau of Special Education, which is basically a state audit of our special education programs. They'll take a look at everything that we run across the board. And we have a facilitated self-assessment that's going to be due at the end of next week. And then our Bureau of Special Education monitor, along with peer monitors, will be coming to the district in February to do an on-site visit of classrooms and interviews with teachers and parents.
Is that something different than normal, or?
This happens every 5 to 6 years.
Okay,
So we're about 5 years from our previous.
okay.
And they do that for multiple things, like Title I, we get audited. So they'll come and do a cyclical monitoring every 3 years or so for Title I. We're due right now for a cafeteria monitoring is coming up here in February. So the state comes in and makes sure that our programs are what
More
they're,
in depth.
yeah, make sure that they're what they're supposed to be. We just can't do things without the oversight of, of the Department of Ed.
Okay. Mr. Saccone?
Okay, winter sports are underway. Believe it or not, as of next Friday, a week from this coming Friday, we'll be
Halfway through.
sports. All of our sports teams are competing and doing fairly well. To piggyback off of Mrs. Parks' bocce, we do have a host. We are hosting a bocce match next Wednesday, a week from tonight, at 3:30 versus Hopewell, and it's our only home match, and the other 3 are away. So that's it.
It'll be a busy week next week.
Mr. I. Miller?
Two things. One, prepping for a big in-service day on Monday, so no kids will be in the school. We have a lot of curriculum work and trainings lined up for the staff. The other thing is we ran into a little issue with the stream tonight. I just want to get this on a record. So I recorded the meeting. It's going to be posted after the fact. It's just not being shown live right now. So sorry about that.
I want to put something on the website
I'm posting it right now.
that says that.
Mr. Ivey, I have a question. How secure are we with cybersecurity, with any type of hacking?
Well, I mean, no facility is 100% secure, but I am confident that we are as secure as we can be. We, every year, every summer, I have multiple vendors come in and do audits of our policies and settings and hardware to make sure that all our code's up to date, and we do intrusion protection tests and virus tests and malware tests and things like that. And then we're also a member of a couple different groups, one of which is run by the Department of Homeland Security that makes us aware of any potential viruses and threats that are attacking various industries. And then we coordinate with our vendors and our service providers to make sure that we're up to date and protected against those. And then I will address things like phishing and malware with staff and trainings, looking at some potential future trainings for the staff especially against phishing and social engineering. So
For those of us who don't understand what phishing and social
phishing is when you get an email that looks like it's from somebody that works for you and they want data sent to them regarding employees or anything like that. So we train our staff and advise our staff on what to look for with emails. And we have policies in place about how we ask for sensitive data. We typically aren't emailing sensitive data between each other. We have systems for that. So I'm confident in how we're set up and how we're secure. If you're going to ask me if we're 100% foolproof against anything, no, I'll never say that because no one can ever say that.
Is there something specifically, Luck, that you're thinking about or heard of?
Just things that I read that there are hackers out there that could shut down school districts, et cetera. And I was just curious, how secure, and I agree with you. I don't think anybody's, if the government, it happens to government, I'm sure it could happen to us. I would just, I'd hate to see if we, because everything we're doing is.
The only thing we can do is we have approached it from two ways. We have a proactive approach where we try to make sure that we have various protections in place and various firewalls and hardware and software. And then we have a reactive plan that if something ever were to happen, what is our plan to restore service? And we have both of those in place and are looked at yearly.
Are we backed up with, say, with teachers' grades, with budget, monies, et cetera, if somebody were to shut us down by some chance?
So I don't want to give too many details on a public website exactly to protect ourselves, but our student information system and our financial systems are actually hosted by the providers that provide that software to us. None of that data is actually kept on site. But we have service agreements with both of those companies about regarding how that data is backed up, who has access to that data, and what the restore time for that data would be if they were to be compromised. They have their own insurances that would cover that. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go for board comments now. Mr. Zaritsky, I'll start with you.
No, I'm good. Just Happy New Year to everybody. And once again, welcome Mrs. DeCenzo to the board as we get started. So.
Mr. Bloom?
Yeah. I want to congratulate the football team coaching staff on its back-to-back state championships. The celebration they had last Saturday with the parade downtown Monaco was great. It included the cheerleaders and the band. And I want to thanks to all who put it together. They did a great job. I think everybody enjoyed it to come out.
Mr. Ross?
Also to echo what Mr. Bloom had just said, great for our whole community, what had happened for the last couple of years and the nice parade that they had and the get together for everybody that was responsible, so it was really a nice affair.
Mrs. DeCenzo?
Comment.
Mr. O'Neill?
Nothing.
Mr. King?
I'd like to echo what Mr. Bloom said. I'd also like to have a letter sent to the.
Already on it.
And I'd also like to recognize Ms. Delone for organizing that celebration the other day, the parade and the deal that went on here at the school. I think she did a good job, and I know she had a lot of help, but she's the one that organized it, and I think maybe we ought to send her a letter also.
No, agree.
Okay. Mr. Murad?
Just a single one comment from Saturday. I don't make a lot of comments on athletics, but Coach Lyons made the comment that on a Friday night, 80% of our student body is involved at those games. And that's just a tremendous, you see a lot of student bodies getting more and more apathetic, I believe. And it's great to see that much involvement, that there's 80% of our student body involved on Friday night. And that carries over to other sports. You see it in other sports when the student sections come in and have that kind of school spirit. And where we have teachers like Ms. DeLon who encourage that, and other teachers, I don't want to just single her out, but you can't say enough about continuing to have school spirit. And it's great to see in our district.
Mr. Ambrose?
I'd like to echo what everybody said.
Okay. And I'm going to say the same thing what everybody said. So with that being said, may I have a motion? Mr. Bloom makes a motion. Mrs. DeCenzo seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.